Hello, everyone. I am Julio Ariano, and for my senior capstone, I investigated a question most consumers don't think about. What security risks come from budget IoT devices? IoT devices have exploded in popularity recently. In fact, by 2024, the average US household had 21 connected devices. But as their prices dropped, security was sacrificed. Manufacturers cut costs by reusing outdated software, skipping encryption, and abandoning firmware updates. My research asks, do these cost-cutting strategies directly create exploitable network vulnerabilities? My thesis is simple. Budget IoT devices introduce measurable, exploitable network vulnerabilities as a direct consequence of manufacturer cost cutting. In my literature review, I found three key studies. Murat et al. Managed to reverse engineer a Tuya smart plug and modified its firmware to send data to an attacker. Chen et al. Analyzed over 6,900 firmware images and found that 11,000 vulnerabilities were found. These manufacturers that they found took an average of around 1.34 years to patch out the vulnerabilities. Antonakakis et al. Gave us more information on the Mirai botnet, which succeeded because devices shipped out with default credentials. These potential attacks aren't just theoretical. As you've seen, Mirai took down Din, making Twitter, Spotify, and Reddit unreachable. The common thread: budget IoT devices are built for profit and not protection. So to find these vulnerabilities, I built a practical tool. So I created a three-stage Python security scanner. First, I wrote the Python scanner using mainly two libraries. It mostly used Scapy and Python Nmap. And the script worked in three stages. The first stage was an ARP discovery that was used to find all the live devices on the network. Stage 2 was a targeted port scanning for any IoT associated services. And then stage 3 was an optional packet capture that you could use to observe any unencrypted network traffic. I also created a risk scoring system based off of the different ports that were open and vulnerable. And then this was tested on a real home network, mostly with two budget devices purchased for the research. Those being a 1299 GNCC camera and an 899 G Home smart plug, both of which were purchased off Amazon. So, what did I find? So, on the network, I found 11 active devices, 6 of which had exploitable configurations. The first was a camera with port 554 open, which is RTSP, and if not authenticated, anyone on the network could manage to watch a live feed of whatever that camera was broadcasting. Second, there were two smart plugs already on the network that were not purchased for the research. Both of them have both port 80 and 8080 open, and those could potentially have HTTP interfaces that were vulnerable to default credential attacks. There was also a Tuya-based smart plug that had port 6668 open, and that indicated that a vulnerability to the Tuya Cloud Cutter exploit was present. I also found a network gateway with HTTP and HTTPS ports exposed. So, four realistic attack scenarios that could happen based off of what my research found is scenario one: an attacker could join your Wi-Fi, find the camera, and stream your private video feed so they would be able to access it. Scenario two: they could gain control of your smart plugs, turn them on and off. This might seem like it is just annoying, but this could be used as a pivot point to get further network access. Scenario 4, the router talked about earlier could be compromised, leading to them changing DNS settings and sending you to malicious servers. So why does this happen? Why do these vulnerabilities exist? So, two reasons. First, market pressure. A manufacturer selling that $9 smart plug can't afford ongoing security updates. Chen et al. Found that 67% of vulnerable libraries go unpatched. Second, usability. Consumers return devices that are hard to set up, so manufacturers often ship with default credentials, no encryption, and no updates. In fact, 1 in 3 US adults struggle to set up IoT devices. So to conclude, my research proves that budget IoT devices introduce real, potentially exploitable network vulnerabilities, directly because manufacturers cut costs on security. So, what can we do as consumers to help prevent this? So, here are some recommendations. Firstly, for us consumers, we can segment our network. So, having different portions of your network be on different subnets would be very helpful. And also changing default credentials immediately and making sure that you continually check for security updates. For manufacturers, I recommend shipping with unique credentials, disabling unnecessary ports, and attempting to build and invest in an update infrastructure. And then for potential regulators, it is important for there to be enforceable security standards, because if there is no reason to enforce the security standards, manufacturers just will simply not do it. In the end, if these market and consumer dynamics stay the same, budget IoT devices will remain a threat for many years to come. Thank you.